Hey everyone, I'm Nikhil with Shelf-Esteem. Thank you for bearing with my slightly scratchier voice here and maybe a little bit lower energy. I fell sick this weekend, so I was kind of bedridden yesterday. I think I made a post on my community post, but I wanted to get this video out for you and kind of tell you everything that happened in this week ending September 8th, 2024. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Nikhil with Shelf-Esteem. I'm a composer, now also a booktuber. You can find my music in The Wheel of Time Season 2, His Dark Material Season 3, and the official Brent Weeks companion album for his series Lightbringer, which came out last year. So I wanted to talk a little bit about, amidst my scratchy voice and kind of low energy here, everything that happened in the week, because it's kind of fun to do a little check-in with you guys, talk about the books that I read, and hear about what you all read. So definitely leave it in the comments and, just let me know kind of what you've been up to this week and what you've read, because we always trade great book recommendations back and forth, and I think that's how the community builds. So it's always fun when we get a chance to do that. Please like and subscribe also if you haven't already and you like this kind of content, you want to see more of it. Always helps the YouTube algorithm gods find the video and push it out to the right people. So greatly appreciate you doing that. Without further ado, let's talk a little bit about the books I read this week. My mind is a little bit kind of swimmy still from being sick, so I just kind of wrote down a list here so I can keep a track of everything. But the reading roundup. I read 50% of Dreamcatcher by Stephen King. Now, remember in the last kind of update I spoke to you about how I have no idea why people have a problem with this book. It seems amazing to me. Coming of age story, kind of this weird, maybe alien invasion type of a story. So I've gotten a little further in the book and I can kind of understand, excuse me, sorry. I can kind of understand why people have gripes with this book. It does start to veer off track a little bit. And I know Stephen King can do that sometimes, especially in the middle section of his books. You know, you gotta love him for it. It's part of his endearing charm, I guess. But in this one, you can definitely tell he's hopped up on something, because if you don't know the context for this book, he was involved in a terrible accident. He was sideswiped by a car. I want to say it was in 99, was it? And he was laid up in the hospital. People thought he wasn't going to live, so he was in bad shape. And he was there for months, and he was on all these pain meds, and he wrote this book during that time. So you can definitely tell there's a couple of fever dream sequences that the characters themselves go through, and it's very obvious where he's pulling from, and he's probably going through a fever dream while he's writing it, because it just kind of goes all over the place. It definitely made the book hard to read at times. So I will just caveat that, all my praise for the first part of the book still rings true. I think there's still a great story in there somewhere. It does get a little bit buried at this point. I'm curious to see where it goes, and I'm still enjoying the ride, but I will say that, that's me as a Stephen King completionist, and maybe it's not for casual fans, but, I always say, check it out for yourself and see what you think, and you can be the judge of that. Now, here was kind of the surprising thing that I got a chance to read. So I'd mentioned a couple days ago, I think in a previous video, that I was going to be reading The Way of Idan by Philip Chase, our own, BookTube's own Philip Chase. And I decided to casually open up the book, on Kindle and start reading a few pages just to kind of get a sense of the world and everything and the characters. So in less than 48 hours, I've read 40% of the book. So I guess you could tell that I liked it quite a bit. The world building, the characters are fantastic. I find it so accessible, actually, for fantasy, because there's so much lore in this. It's very Tolkien-inspired. It's very John Gwynne-inspired. And you can see where some of the, kind of grimdark aspects of, say, Song of Ice and Fire are present throughout as well. So, with all that lore thrown at you, you would think, oh, man, and the book is not, it's maybe 500 pages or so, right? So it's not long. So you would presumably having, a lot of lore coming at you fast, but somehow, even from the beginning, you hear a character's name once or twice and you kind of pick up, and it's really evident of Philip Chase's amazing prose. I feel like the prose leap off the page, and I'm not really a prose guy in the sense that the prose has to be a specific way in order for me to enjoy the story. But man, I tell you, it really makes the lore go down easier in this book. And I'm just like, it's a runaway surprise for me this month, reading this. And I'm really glad that I kind of picked it up on a whim. And, I was telling Philip Chase, through the YouTube comments, I was like, I want to read the other books too. And now I'm like chomping at the bit. As soon as I'm done with this, I'm going to want to read Prophet of Idan, I think is the second book. So I'm just so thrilled to have found, a new series that I've just immediately taken to. So Philip, thanks for writing this. Thank you for all you've done for the BookTube community. And I'm excited to kind of go forward in the series, and definitely going to finish this series by the end of the year. That's a must read now for me. So that was the second book I read. So next week's plans, let's talk a little bit about that. I definitely want to finish Dreamcatcher. I want to finish The Way of Idan, and I think the both of those are possible because I basically have like 300 pages left in Dreamcatcher, about, I want to say, maybe 300 pages in The Way of Idan. So it's possible to do, 100 pages a day or so, give or take. And that's kind of my reading speed when I have a couple hours a day to read. And, barring that I'm not going to be, working really hard today, I might have a little bit more reading time as I recover from the sickness. So that's one, at least, good thing about being sick is you get more time to read, hopefully. But the other book I want to start this week is one I'm very excited to start. And, I was talking with John from Disquiet and Dragons, who I'm linking down below. Lovely channel. He's just about hitting 100 subscribers. Very underrated. He has all these great nature scenes in his videos. Wonderful guy. Gotta check him out. So please, I implore you, if you want to see another great booktuber, definitely check him out. But we are going to be starting the John Gwynne series, the Bloodsworn Saga, starting with Book 1, The Shadow of the Gods. So we've both been chomping at the bit for this one. We've both been very excited to check it out because, I'm a John Gwynne aficionado. John is new to the John Gwynne universe, and so writing style and everything, and so I'm really looking forward to seeing what he thinks of it. And I always find his books very accessible as well, something that I mentioned about Philip Chase's book, but I also feel very much is true about John Gwynne's, Faithful and the Fallen series, his sequel trilogy. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this Bloodsworn Saga feels like on first read. So we're going to be starting that this week. Then I will be listening to more of The Lions of Al-Rasan by Guy Gavriel Kay. I've been listening to this on audio ever since I went on my Alaskan cruise. Been kind of taking it in small bites, and I find that it's very easy for me to jump back into the story, even with a lot of lore and a lot of characters and my deficiencies of listening on audio, because I always find it very difficult to digest stories on audio. I can do nonfiction, but fiction somehow just doesn't work for me typically. But on this one, I'm loving it. So I also ordered the book from the library so I can have both to kind of go back and forth just in case. I'm going to make a little bit of progress on that. I think I'm going to just kind of ride that one out until the end of the month. Same to be true for the next one that I am also going to be reading this week, which is To Ride Hell's Chasm by Jenny Wirtz. And I had mentioned how much I've been enjoying Jenny Wirtz's prose, and also how it doesn't seem hard to follow even though it's very dense, and it kind of feels almost Malazan in terms of the prose. Not in terms of the crazy amount of characters and continents and history, but in terms of the prose. So I'm really looking forward to checking that out, and I'm going to actually do a community poll on a series that I want to do a read-along series of for next year. And I kind of want to get a jump on it because I would like for us all to kind of plan it together and make it feel like it's one that we all kind of decide together. So I have a couple different series, one of which is Jenny Wirtz's Of Wars in Light and Shadow, and a couple other fantasy series I was thinking about diving into, and I would love to do a read-along if you guys are so inclined to join me, whether it's 5 people or 50. Hey, and the more the merrier always. So, thinking about that, I'll put a community poll and see which one you all are gravitating towards. And I might even do a video where I explain each one and kind of my impetus for choosing them, and then maybe, you can see what you think. So that's kind of, upcoming channel plans, but not really something that I might put out this week. It might be next week or something like that. So this week on the channel, let's talk a little bit about that. So we are now, and I say we because it's our channel. I'm the steward of the channel, but it's our channel. So we have 434 subscribers as of this taping. And, I've been on BookTube for 4 or 5 months now. It's just been a hobby for me. It's been a way to connect with people, to talk about the books we like. And I gotta say, like, I am, I've fallen in love with the booktube community from being a participant in it. But man, it feels so much more amplified, that kindness and that care that I feel about the book, the people in the booktube community, from being now a content creator in it. And people have just been so gracious and so kind and so welcoming as I started this channel, not knowing and trying to improve with each video. And people have offered me great constructive criticism. And I'm just saying the channel is basically, in no small part due to all of you. So I just got to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. As far as like the watch time hours and the what's it called, the subscriber rate, I guess you could say, the rate of increase, and the minutes watched and all of those have actually been down this month or so by about maybe 20 to 30%. And that those things happen. I'm kind of just telling you that not as a woe is me kind of a thing. It's more of a, a lot of us are content creators. A lot of us are trying to figure out a long-term strategy for our channel and just kind of keeping it fun. And I just want to say that because these things ebb and flow. Sometimes they ebb quite a lot, right? Sometimes they flow quite a lot. And I always say, like, it's good to just keep making it about putting the best stuff out there as possible, connecting with people in a genuine way, and creating a community, and the rest will follow suit. And it's kind of like, I think about it like the stock market. It's like things are up, things are down, but there's always a through line, right? So you just go for the through line, don't worry about anything, and make it about the books, and everything will be fine. So that's kind of what happened on this channel. This coming week's channel plans, I want to let you know I'm going to be releasing 2 videos. One is going to be a different seasons review, Different Seasons by Stephen King. This is one that, you all have been clamoring for. And, as you know, Stephen King's my favorite author. Got a shelf dedicated to the man back there. And you all kindly helped me find this wonderful book by choosing it on a community poll. So I'm going to do a proper in-depth review of each of the four stories in it. And they're kind of 4 novellas that make up Different Seasons. There is The Body, which was made into Stand By Me, the 80s film. Shawshank Redemption, Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption. Apt Pupil, another film, I believe. And then The Breathing Method, the only one that I don't think has been adapted. And, reading it, I do see that it might be a little hard to adapt, honestly. It's a story within a story kind of motif. But all 4 bangers, can't wait to talk about them. And then the second video I want to do is a book haul, because I don't do book hauls very often on this channel. I've only done like 2, I think, 1 or 2, and I've done short ones if I've gone to the library book sales and, check stuff out there. But it's a few months have passed now, and I want to do a book haul of a special edition that I've gotten, and then also, some stuff that I got from my Alaska trip, because we tried to make it very topical to the bookstores that we visited there, and then a few other, kind of ones that I got along the way. So definitely looking forward to putting that up. And then one video I'm most excited about personally is a live stream video I'm going to be hosting on my channel on Sunday at noon Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. UK time. Should hopefully cover the bases for everyone around the world. But this one we're very excited about, because I'm going to be basically doing a group live stream with my dear friends, John from Disquiet and Dragons and Ellie from Bibbidi Bobbidi Books, also linking her down below. We all read the 3rd and final book in the Farseer trilogy of the Realm of the Elderlings broad series by Robin Hobb, called Assassin's Quest. And we wanted to talk a little bit about that all together, because we all read it together. We were kind of communicating during that time quite a bit. And I just thought it would be really fun to kind of be able to talk all about it together. And hopefully you all can join us on that. And we're going to try to keep as much of it spoiler-free as possible. We'll let you know when spoilers are coming up, so you can always tune out if you'd like to. But, that's a book and a series that has become very dear to all our hearts. And discovering a new author is always really fun. Discovering a female fantasy author is always great for me personally, because I don't get to read a lot of them. And, I read Fonda Lee, now I'm reading Robin Hobb, reading Jenny Wirtz, and I want to see more different voices in fantasy. And that's, really kind of a fun thing for me to do. And I've just been loving Robin Hobb so far. So really looking forward to kind of checking that out all together. And hope you'll join us on that live stream. So last thing I want to say is, that weekly update that I usually do on Sundays. I think for next week I'm going to do it, or for this week, presumably, I'm going to do it on the following Monday instead of Sunday, so that we can allow for more people to see that live stream. And I don't want to kind of dilute the waters there. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is music talk, which was a little bit lighter. I always try to do a little music talk segment because I write a lot for adaptations. There's a little bit of a linkage between that and books, and so it's always nice to be able to talk about that kind of stuff. But a couple things happened. I went to an Emmys party for the Emmy Awards, or this weekend. And there was an Emmy celebration for all the music composers that were nominated for Emmy Awards. So I went to this beautiful place called Newhouse in Hollywood and got to interact with a lot of great Emmy-nominated composers, meet some old friends, and that was really wonderful. I definitely promptly got sick right after that, though, but it was worth it. So that was really fun. I've been recalibrating after vacation. It's always a nice way to kind of look at your career and go, am I doing the things I want to do or the things I feel I have to do? So that's been really fun. I'm starting an orchestration gig this week, again, kind of continuing on that TV series, the Nature docuseries I mentioned to you before. So I'm really looking forward to kind of going forth with that. Lastly, I have a production company called Howlin' Hounds Pictures. So this is a production company run by myself, Ben Grant, who's a cinematographer on Dead Whisper, the horror film I scored that was released in theaters this year, and then Connor Susi, who is the writer-director of that. We all kind of formed a company, and we want to be able to work on our next kind of projects. And then also, because I love book adaptations, it's kind of an interesting way to look on the other side of the lens and look at books that, should be adapted, that have not had their rights purchased yet, things that are under the radar, that, have a rabid audience, that that just have, for whatever reason, not been picked up by production companies for acquisition. So how cool would it be to be able to talk about the books with you, to be able to actually acquire books for adaptation, and then to work on the music and help produce them? So that's kind of the idea of it as well. So, let me know in the comments if you think of any books that wouldn't be too, expensive to make. Let's say a thriller, a drama, a horror, something probably less fantasy, because let's face it, fantasy is pretty expensive, but something that wouldn't be too expensive to make that you think is like, oh, I can't believe this hasn't been adapted yet. I can kind of do some research on them. Would love your, opinions, because obviously we all are such avid readers. We find things in the nooks and crannies that other people don't know about. And that's the fun about this channel and kind of discovering things together. So that was just kind of a last music talk and kind of producing talk, I guess, thing for me. I'm Nick with Shelf-Esteem. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Again, it really helps the algorithm and pushes these videos out to the people who would really want to see it, and hopefully people like you. So I'm Nick with Shelf-Esteem. Please be good to yourselves. Please be good to each other. I will see you on the next one, and let me know in the comments kind of how your week went, and let's keep a dialogue going, because as I always say, dialogue is the most fun about this channel. All right, so take care. Have a wonderful week ahead.